Sagittarius. Happy June 2017. This is Dark Dove Tarot. Hope everybody is doing fantastic. I'm going to shuffle the cards one more time. As you know, I pre-shuffle, but I like to add a little more energy as we begin the reading. As you know, I base my reads on love and relationships, but I've actually decided for June, I'm going to be doing singles and anybody who's possibly looking to reconcile or wondering kind of what their ex is up to. It seems like those are the people I hear from the most, who ask for the private readings, who email me with questions, etc. So I did want to kind of focus on that. If that bothers anybody, please let me know, but I'm not going to be breaking it down for people in relationships anymore, you know, unless a lot of people complain. But as of yet, I haven't heard any complaints, and I think the people who watch my videos tend to be in the groups of single or wondering about their exes, looking for reconciliation, etc. So, again, any comments, questions, if you want to like, subscribe, it's appreciated. If you want a private reading, any donations, etc., the information is in the special instructions. Check your sun, moon, and rising, as everybody always tells you, because some months those may resonate more with you than your, than whatever sign you're watching this video for. So, again, let's get started. We always start with the current position coming into the month of June. And let's see, Sag, you have the Seven of Coins. So the Seven of Coins right off the bat for singles tells me that you're assessing a situation. So either you've been dating somebody, but it hasn't been serious, and you're thinking about getting serious, or you've been dating somebody and you're thinking about ending it. It's kind of a risk-reward type card. This is definitely telling me that you're assessing a situation and making decisions. So again, this is for anybody who's possibly, it could even be that you're deciding to get back into the dating scene, and maybe you haven't dated in a while. You know, maybe you went through a breakup or a divorce or something, and now you're kind of going, shoot, I don't even know where to begin, what to do. There's definitely somebody out there waiting for you, because, you know, you're congruently growing with somebody. Maybe you've met them, you haven't yet, but somebody's in your future already. You may just not have met them, which I guess is how it always works, right? We don't know them until we meet them in our future. But they always talk about, you know, you always hear about like your twin flame or your soulmate and that kind of stuff. And so maybe it's going to be, you know, that big of a love interest coming up pretty quick. This is also about choices. So this tells me that a lot of you have had quite a few, you know, potential suitors for dating. But it sticks in my mind, Sagittarius, that this is definitely somebody you've had your kind of focus set on, somebody that you've been really interested in, somebody that you really care about, and you're trying to figure out whether it's worth jumping all in or not. It could be another situation you're assessing and wondering about the risk reward. It could be financial, because this is, you know, Pentacle coin card, and that a lot of times can have to do with financial. Anybody wondering about reconciling, I think this is a toss-up for you. I think it's 50-50, because I think some of you are weighing the pros and cons very heavily on what you want to do in that situation, and you're making choices, and you're also looking at the situation, wondering what the best possible scenario for you would be. The next card you have is often how you're feeling coming into the month internally, any feelings or challenges that may help or hinder, you know, your current position. And you have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess, that tells me that a lot of you are feeling pretty good right now. You're dreaming about the future. So that tells me that you are putting some serious thought into possibly committing to somebody. Or, you know, maybe you've been dating a few people, or you've been interested in a few people, and now you have your sights set on one person, and you're kind of feeling dreamy about the future. You may also have been getting some sort of like, you know, subconscious hints, like colors, numbers, names, those types of things, songs, that you're all of a sudden going, whoa, you know, that song's always on when we're together, or, you know, that's the color of the car they drive, and I see that same car and that color everywhere, or whatever the case may be. This is definitely believing in something bigger than yourself, and you're kind of looking for those signs, and internally you're trying to feel it out and see what it feels like to you and see how it feels in order to make the best decision for you. And the same would actually go for anybody looking to reconcile or wondering about that. You're doing the same thing. You're looking, you know, from the inside out. How do I feel about that person still? Is it more of a, you know, I don't want them, but I don't want anybody else to have them either, but you're not sure that you love them anymore? Or do you still truly have feelings and think that they're the right person on the right path for you? And that's something I think you're coming into this month heavily weighing, wondering, you know, what's going on. And this is also spirituality. So maybe, you know, you had to break free to kind of get in tune with yourself again. And now you're wondering how, if you're feeling really good, how they're going to fit into the picture, and whether they were part of why you didn't feel good, or, you know, are you feeling good because maybe you're potentially going to reconcile with them. And if you're single, I think you're really taking a look at yourself going, you know, again, as they say in a lot of reads, whatever you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back. And this tells me some of you are looking at that and looking internally quite a bit as to what you should be focusing on in yourself, so that if you do choose a partner, if you do decide to commit to somebody, you're putting your best foot forward as well. The next card you have is always your past card, and I read this the same whether you're coupled, whether you're single, or whether you're wondering about, you know, your ex, because this is your distant past over the past few years, could be a decade, and you have the Eight of Cups. So this tells me that, and I always bring this card in to explain maybe things that are coming up from your past that are affecting who you are now, or how you're feeling in your relationship, or dating, or about your ex. These past traits each month are reflecting something that's kind of surfaced from your past this month that may be affecting negatively or positively the way you're feeling about things. The Eight of Cups is not necessarily a negative card. It's more dissatisfied. So that's telling me that, you know, maybe right now your biggest fear and why you're weighing things so heavily in maybe choosing a partner or committing to anybody is because you haven't been satisfied in past relationships. Like, this kind of tells me across the board, Sagittarius, that you've had just a lot of bummer relationships, a lot of relationships that you're like, gosh, if I think back on the good in these relationships, it's really hard to outweigh the good from the bad. You know, it's a lot of stagnation in the Eight. It's like you wanted to move, you wanted things to go in a good direction. You thought things were going in a certain direction, and they never ended up going in that direction. It's like they always fizzled out. It's like you thought you found, you know, this true one-of-a-kind person for you, and you thought everything was amazing, and it just fizzled. And maybe a lot of times in relationships too, you've gotten to the dating point, you've decided to commit, and then it never goes anywhere. Maybe you're like, I want a family. I want to move in with somebody. I want to be with somebody long term. There's never any movement in this. It's always, yeah, we're together for like 6 months, and then we're like, what, you know, see you later. So maybe that's why you're really assessing these situations, and you're looking from within, and you're trusting your gut and trying to, you know, feel things out, because you don't want to end up in that situation. Like, you're ready. Maybe you're at the age where you're like, you know, I've been doing this dating game for a long time, and it feels like shit, and I'm done with it, and I want a partner. I want a partner in crime, somebody who makes me feel good, and somebody that I can take care of and they can take care of. So I think that's why that's coming forward for you this month as your past card, because you really are, you know, this isn't a game to you anymore. This isn't a joke. This is about finding something serious and finding something that makes you feel good, whether it's reconciling, or whether it's the people you're dating now, or possibly 1 or 2 people that you're very interested in now. This is, you know, you're ready, and you're just kind of like, what the heck, universe, what's going on? So the next card you have is going to be your recent past. So the past few weeks, you know, could be the past month or 2, and you have the Four of Coins. So that's interesting here, Sag, because that's telling me that some of you, okay, so this is a financial issue card. So maybe some of you have been dealing with some financial issues lately, and that's been something you've also been, you know, trying to figure out how to date and take care of work and responsibilities. This is also somebody who's been very frugal. So this tells me that at some point, some of you probably had some major financial problems or major scares, which haven't we all? Hasn't everybody? I mean, I'm sure there's one or two of you out there who have never had to worry about money or whatever. So if this doesn't apply to you, I get it. But for pretty much the rest of us, I would say that we've all had some sort of experience where we've had a struggle, or we've had a, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul, or whatever the case may be. And this tells me that some of you might be almost too frugal in the fact that, you know, you're not wanting to, like, maybe you really like somebody in particular and you're wanting to be with them or whatnot, but you're kind of like, oh, I've worked really hard to get where I am, and I've worked really hard, and, you know, I'm not about to give that up. But this also tells me the past few weeks, maybe you've had some things that you've had to take care of. So maybe, you know, with all the graduations, now you're like, ooh, college is coming up, I have to fund that. This is also possessiveness. So, but I feel like Sagittarius, this is you being possessive of your life, right? So you're like, you don't want to go back to this stagnant. You want something serious, but it's almost like you're possessive of how things are now. So I really feel like you've got to make a decision on how important it is to you to have these dreams of relationship goals and being with somebody, because the 4 tells me that some of you are like, well, I like my life the way it is. I like my things. I like, you know, and you don't have to jump into a relationship and give all of that up. But it's almost like some of you are happy with the way things are going, even freedom. You're like, I like my freedom. So you have to outweigh. If you're truly ready for a relationship, you have to compromise. That's what a relationship is all about. And it's about hard work. And you have to share in those responsibilities. And the 4 kind of tells me the past few weeks, you're like, yeah, I want to be with somebody. Yeah, I want it. But you have to give up some things in order. And it doesn't have to be negative, but, you know, you're going to have to give up a little more time. And, you know, it's not just Sagittarius, but a lot of people in general. They get to a point where maybe they're stable in their life and they're single. And so being with somebody almost is almost hard, even though that's what they want and they truly believe in. But it becomes hard because you're set in your ways, right? And you have to change that. This is also for anybody who's single, or sorry, anybody who's separated, you know, wondering if they're going to reconcile or wondering about their ex. This tells me that at some point you guys might have been in some sort of, you know, destitute situation. Maybe not even destitute, but just hanging on to the bottom rung, trying to make things work. And that, so money is like one of the leading causes of divorce, separation, etc. And so this tells me maybe the past few weeks, you're kind of going, wait a minute, we didn't separate because we don't love each other. We didn't separate because we don't care about each other. We separated because, man, I mean, you know, we had a lot of money problems. We had a lot of things. It all got in the way of us being able to really take care of each other and love each other and be in a relationship together. So I think a lot of you are kind of reminiscing on that when it comes to your ex. And, you know, maybe you're just saying, shoot, where did we go wrong? I really care about this person. And that's been kind of, you know, bothering you the past few weeks. The next card you have is in time, future possibilities. So over the next few months, not just in June. And you have the 4 of Cups. So that's interesting because the 4 of Cups is about being self-absorbed, being stuck inside you and not kind of willing to open up to anybody else, not really seeing people around you, not really putting in the time to get to know them. So again, be very careful with this possessiveness of your life, and because maybe the reason that things haven't moved in the past or haven't gotten where they need to be is because you kind of like things the way they are, and in order to invite somebody to share your life or to really make that move, you have to be willing to open up a little more. You have to be willing to sacrifice and compromise a little more. This is all about, you know, waste. And I feel like don't waste your time. I feel like the next few months, you're going to meet some fantastic people. And you can see it's almost like they don't even notice anybody but themselves. And you've got to be careful with that. And now, this does tell me that some of you who are single, this isn't you necessarily being the one who's more worried about your life and not changing anything. This also tells me that some of you are meeting people and you just kind of feel like it's a waste of your time. You're just kind of like, you know, I can't even stand dating. Like, I don't have time for this situation. This isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't me. You know, I'm not meeting anybody who has the same standards that I do. And maybe you feel like you're being taken for granted. Maybe you feel like everybody you meet wants something from you. And that's why you're so frugal with not just money, but with your life, with sharing your life, because you're just kind of like, I have all of this to bring to the table, but nobody has the same to offer. Nobody has anything remotely close to what I have to offer in return. And you're not going to settle for having to be with somebody that you have to pay for all the time, or somebody that, you know, you have to be the person who, you know, takes care of them emotionally, or whatever the case may be. So Sagittarius, watch that, because I do feel like some of you are feeling like, you know, I'm not going to get to where I want with the love and the relationships and whatnot. You're going to stay stagnant like you have in the past if you don't really go for your dreams. You know what you want, so you need to go for what you want. Stop settling for anything that's less than what you need or want. For anybody looking to reconcile, you've got to be careful about this card as well, because if you do get back together, make sure you're not taking them for granted, or they're not taking you for granted, because, you know, it's like, it's almost like, again, getting back together and then pointing fingers or not paying attention, or nothing changes and you're just wasting each other's time. So over the next few months, if it's not everything you hoped for and you guys can't get things back in order and you can't find the love again, or you're not feeling it, you need to walk away. It's not saying that you won't. It's just saying, you know, you've got, again, if it was just like money and different things that got involved and it had nothing to do with not caring about each other, not loving each other, then you need to separate that out. And you need to say, okay, we're in a better place now, or we can be in a better place now. But don't waste each other's time. If you don't really want to be with them, but you're more upset because maybe they've met somebody, or they're starting to date people and you're mad because you're not, you know, don't keep them from meeting somebody spectacular because you haven't met somebody spectacular. You will. I mean, you have the hope and the dream. You just have to be patient. The next card you have is going to be your immediate future. So in the next few weeks, and you have the Hanged Man. So this is very good card. This means over the next few weeks, you are going to be self-aware. You are going to realize that there are some things you need to change about yourself. There are some things that you need to realize. It's just like we were talking about sacrifice. Like I was saying here, you know, a lot of you are happy with your life, but you want somebody to share it. So you have to sacrifice things. It's interesting to me when people say they want to be in a relationship, right? But then they don't want to have to answer to anybody. I remember a long time ago dating somebody, and he said, you know, I feel like if I want to go out with somebody, I have to answer to you or whatever. And I'm thinking in my head, you know, you told me in 4 months we were going to be getting engaged, but you don't want to have to talk to me for 2 days over the weekend and just do your thing. You know, and maybe that's the type of relationship you want, but if you think about it, that's not healthy, because if you're going to commit to somebody, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, there are boundaries. You know, you're not going to be in a relationship and then be like, bye, see you on Monday. It doesn't work that way. That's not, I mean, if you want a realistic expectation, you have to make sacrifices. You have to be able to say, I'm giving up some of my, you know, you don't have to spend every waking moment with that person, but you're not going to disappear for the weekend and then resurface and be like, hey, hope we're still good. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. And sometimes I'm amazed at how people think how their relationship is going to survive. You have to build on trust, and you have to, and the Hanged Man is excellent to see for your immediate future, because this is all about wisdom. So pay attention, learn from the past. If you are one of those people who was like, you know, I want to date, but again, I don't want to give up my lifestyle. I don't want to give up. Then just date, have fun. Don't expect somebody to be in a relationship with you if you're not willing to give 50-50, if you're not willing to compromise. And, you know, be more self-aware. Make sure that, you know, you do want to be in a relationship, because maybe it's just the dream of being in a relationship, but you really aren't ready, or you really don't. Maybe it's just not for you. I know plenty of people who, you know, are 50, 60, never got married, and that was their choice, and they're happy. They're fine with it because maybe they just do better dating and they don't do well with living with people or whatever. But for majority of you, I feel like you do want something special. So to get something special, you are, so to speak, gonna have to hang yourself out there, and you know, may not be happy with some of it, but it's gonna happen. And that's the thing, the more you work at it, and the more, you don't have to sacrifice everything right now. You don't have to change your whole life. You don't have to answer to somebody 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. But eventually, to get where I think a lot of you want to be, there is going to have to be some sort of, you know, ability to let go a little bit and let somebody in. And it'll get easier with time. But make sure you're doing it with the right person, because I think that's been the problem for you, is that you're doing it with people who aren't a good fit for you, or who haven't been good to you, and tell you what they think you want to hear and take you for granted. And so you're nervous to get back into that situation, but you want it. So you got to figure out what you really want. If you want that, you're going to have to, you know, if your heart gets broken, it gets broken. I don't think that's the case for you at all, but that's just kind of reality. You know, you're wanting to know about your risk reward. Well, here it is. If you don't take a risk, you won't be rewarded. And you don't have to take a risk. And you can hang out and do your own thing for as long as you want. But you see where I'm going with that. For anybody looking to reconcile, it's the same type of thing. You have to be able to sacrifice. So again, I think that you've got to avoid pointing fingers. You've got to avoid the he said, she said, you did this, you did that. And if you're going to really stick yourself out there and get back together with your ex, this is all about self-awareness for you. Because this is about realizing that you are not perfect. You made mistakes too, just as well as your ex did. You're going to have to be able to get past that and really get past it, not get past it for a month and then start rehashing the past and bringing it up and putting it in each other's faces. Get past it and move on, or don't do it. The next card you have is going to be your future external factors. So anything that's going to affect your hangman, your immediate future, and the outcome of the month. And you have the Five of Wands. Okay, so that tells me that this month is going to be kind of chaotic for you. This is external factors. So things are going on. Maybe work's been tough. Again, maybe that money is, maybe something's been going on with work and you're, you know, working a ton. This is about trying to complete something. So it could be that, you know, you're trying to make the money. This is priorities. So you're trying to figure out where you can have this, where you can have your dreams, where you can meet somebody, where you can build this relationship, where you can have, you know, these two people moving congruently together, but you know you've got to get things in order. You've got a little bit of chaos here, and this is external. So this is saying that there are some things in your life that, you know, you need to get solidified before you can really find what you want. Although you're working on it, because, you know, this is the past few weeks. So maybe something happened. I don't know. Maybe some of you got audited. Maybe, I don't know why that popped in my head, but something about taxes. You know, maybe some of you had lost your job or had some major things happen, and you're kind of trying to hold it all together, all the while knowing that you might feel a little better if you had somebody special to share these experiences with you and kind of hold your hand, just like you could hold their hand through, you know, tough times. And again, this chaos is short-lived because this is the middle of the suit. So, you know, it just gets better from there. So this, yeah, again, whatever this chaos is that is in your life, I feel like it's not something that's going to last. It's not something that's going to, like, you know, ruin you. This is just, maybe you're working a second job to make ends meet. Maybe you know, bought a house, and so you're trying to be frugal. And again, your priorities. Maybe, I just all of a sudden got this feeling that a lot of you had all of your priorities lined up, like in the past when things didn't move, but you forgot to line up your self-awareness. And that's what you're working on. Because you forgot to line up the fact that you can have all your ducks in a row, but if you're not ready, and if you're not prepared, and if you're not prepared to give your heart to somebody and open up, then none of those priorities matter. I mean, of course they matter. You need your job or whatever, but they don't matter in terms of finding somebody you really want to be with, or finding somebody that's special. If you're looking to reconcile, this tells me that the next couple of weeks may be chaotic, and you're going to have emotions running high and low, and maybe some of this past financial stuff the past few weeks or whatever has been because you and your ex are going, we're separating all this stuff up, and you still really love each other, and so it's chaos, and you're trying to figure out what's best for you. Or maybe you don't want to be together, but daycare is too expensive, so you guys have to stay in the same house because you can't afford, you know, to change things right now. So again, just a little bit of anxiety here, Sag, but I think it's going to be just fine. I really feel like you're just trying to get things in order in your life, and you want to meet somebody while you're doing all of this. And so it's been a little shaky, but you'll get through it. The next card you have is internal factors. So this is, you know, how you're going to feel throughout June inside. And you have the Empress. Okay, so whatever this chaos is, it's going to pass. And because you're feeling okay about it. Your internal cards have been really special. So, I mean, the Empress is an excellent card. This is all about creation and fruitfulness. So it's almost like you're going to come through this and you're feeling amazing because you know whatever's lying on the other end of this chaos is going to be amazing. You know, maybe you have created a new company, or maybe, you know, you've moved up in a company and you're feeling all out of whack and you've got all this stuff and it's a big responsibility, but internally you're going, hey, I've got this. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. This card is also about, you know, Mother Nature, and, you know, maybe you're getting out more and that's helping you feel better. Maybe you're, you know, here in the US, it's obviously summer, and so maybe you're feeling like a little better. You're not cooped up in the house, and so with all this chaos, you're able to go take a walk or take a jog or take a hike, and you're feeling better. This is also sensuality. So even with this going on, and even with, you know, past things that happened and making all these choices, you're feeling like, hey, how's it going? And you're feeling that way internally, and you're going to start showing it externally. So I think that's the biggest factor here is you know how you feel and you know what you want to attract. So you need to put that out in order to get that back. And I think some of you have a hard time with sacrificing what you already have. It's like you're dreaming and feeling wonderful, and you're loving the idea of it, but now in order to make it happen, you have to change some things. You have to get your priorities in order, and this is sensuality in its fullest. So, you know, you're feeling good. You know, you've got kind of a primal energy, and you know that's always positive. But your outside life, you've got to kind of figure out what's going on there. And for anybody looking to reconcile, it's the same thing. You've never lost that yearn for your partner. You've never lost that yearn for your ex, or again, it wasn't about a lack of love. And maybe you have kids and that's what's bringing you back, because this is a very mothering card as well. So maybe you guys have kids and you're kind of going, okay, you know, we love each other and things got rocky and we had major financial problems and we're getting our priorities straight, but we love our kids and we love our family and we love each other. And maybe that's what's going to be what really pulls you back together. The last two cards you have are always your hopes and fears for the end of the month for the outcome. And you have the King of Cups and the actual outcome. And you have the Five of Coins. So the King of Cups is counseling. So if you're looking to reconcile, you're either going to counseling, you're thinking about it, you're being calm, you're listening to each other, and maybe that's what you need exactly, is counseling. If not counseling, maybe you're seeking advice from parents. If you go to church, maybe you're seeking advice from somebody at church. Maybe you're going to some sort of meetup group that talks about when you break up or when you're separated or when you're thinking about divorce, if you have kids, etc. So this definitely tells me that you're going to be that you have passion. You're going to be putting effort into, you know, seeing what you can do to make things happen, to reconcile. You're feeling positive about it inside. You just know that something extra is needed, that it's not going to happen overnight and it's not going to be, you know, all roses immediately. For anybody who's single, this is the same thing. You may be seeking counseling. Maybe you did have some past issues. Maybe you have some issues now that you need to take care of, that you know you need to take care of, and you've decided to do that. Or again, this could just be seeking advice. Maybe you're going to your, you know, married friends and going, hey, I'm not understanding what's going on. It's not working for me, and I need to find out. Or, you know, you're trying the single dating thing. Maybe you're meeting a few people that you're just like, this isn't working for me. Or maybe you've met somebody and you're just kind of paying attention, listening. You're, you know, kind of, this is calm, cool, and collected inside. So, you know, your outcome or your feelings for the end of June, or, you know, your hopes for the end of June, are that you're really going to find somebody that listens to you and you listen to them and you kind of connect. And it's not manipulated. They're not taking you for granted. You're not feeling manipulated. They're not feeling manipulated. This is very, you know, a collective energy. So your hopes are, you know, that everything's going to work, and that, you know, this is going to calm down, and these dreams are going to come to fruition. The outcome, however, is very interesting, because you have the Five of Coins, and that often is about, you know, loss or, you know, poverty. So the outcome, though, is interesting to me, because this tells me that I think you're really stressing about something. Maybe you're stressing about money. Maybe you're stressing about something. I'm going to pull a card just for clarity. I'm going to shuffle these, because the Five is really interesting. Everything else is pretty positive. Yeah, there's some chaos in here. But this is about, you know, loss. So maybe if you do the counseling, if you're committed to somebody, or if you're separated, you know, you're wondering if you're going to be able to reconcile. You guys have broken up. You know, maybe this means that it's not going to happen. However, oh, there's your card. Let's see what it is. So you have the Queen of Swords. So the Five of Coins, again, is about loss, but I feel like that's more money-wise. So I feel like maybe some of you did lose a job, and the outcome of the month is going to be all about you working and trying to make things happen, and, you know, trying to make things better. And so the Five, to me, isn't really focusing on relationship. This is more about, you know, all about the money aspect. So I think some of you are having some financial issues, but I think that you're gonna see, you know, better days. This isn't doom. This isn't failure. In fact, this is a more internal loss situation. So that's very interesting. The Queen, though, I wanted to pull that because I don't feel like the Five is necessarily talking about the outcome. I think it's talking about more external and what's happening as far as like job-wise. And I mean, let's face it, you're not going to feel great about your love life if that's not in place. But the Queen is about critical, you know, honesty, clarity. So again, I really think that Sagittarius, you are trying to figure out what you're doing and what you're going for in life. This is all about seeking wisdom, seeking clarity. So I think that you're, well, all this financial stuff is going on, and it doesn't have to be that there's a financial loss or that you're going to be destitute or anything like that. It could be, again, your fears. You know, and maybe that you've met somebody and you guys are thinking about moving in together, and so you're worried that, like, oh, it's, you know, another mouth to feed or somebody to take care of. Or maybe you have kids, and like I said before, you know, college came, and that's why the past few weeks have been tough. You've got a lot going on. But the Queen says that everything is going to be, you're going to rise above. So the Queen is saying that if you're single, you're just looking for somebody who's honest, somebody who's good, somebody that you can take care of, that will take care of you. So I'm glad I pulled a clarifier, because the Queen is about just brutally being a genuine person. And I think you're looking for somebody, and I think you're saying, you know what, right now I may not have the biggest house, I may not have the biggest bank account, I may not, but isn't there somebody out there that I can still love and that can still love me regardless of all of this? Or, you know, don't people understand that, you know, that you can go through things, you don't, I don't know, it's interesting. All of a sudden I'm getting this feeling that you're just kind of like, you know what, sometimes things are going to be rocky, and I want somebody to go through that with, and I want somebody who's genuine and somebody that understands that it's not always going to be perfect. And if you're looking to reconcile, it's the same thing, although you're seeking, again, with the Queen. So you could be seeking counseling. You're trying to clarify something. So you're trying to figure out in your heart, was it really the money issues? Was it other things that came into our lives that affected our love, or are we really ready to be done? Although I really think that the next few months you're going to be looking into that. Yeah, so Sagittarius, I think your hopes aren't smashed and everything is good, but I think you're looking for somebody who just isn't going to take you for granted, somebody who doesn't want something from you all the time. You just want somebody who understands that life is life, and even with things going on, you know, you can rise above with somebody that you really care about. And if you're looking to reconcile, I think it's going to take some time. I think it's possible, but I think you need to get your priorities in order between the two of you and have a calm conversation and really just come to a resolution on where you both are at and what you feel. So Sagittarius, I'm very interested to see how next month is going to go for you. I hope you have a great June, and I'll see you in July.